our past presidents last night were crying.
Really?
Yes, really.
Oh my
They I just can't believe it's alive again.
God.
No, and that was heartfelt, and that was just terrific. And of course, I felt included because I could hear and I could see. It is good to see everybody here. I do want to mention, it might have slipped past you, that it's Hanukkah. And we're going to be continuing with Hanukkah until December 15th. Please, please don't send me any more Adam Sandler Hanukkah in Santa Monica. I have 73 copies of it already, and the Hebrew would be maspikvar. That's enough. That's very good. I'm going to do something which actually is a bit different because today is different. This past week, the Hebrew Union College and the Reform Movement lost Rabbi David Ellenson. I don't know if that name is familiar to you, but clearly he was one of the great reform leaders of the 20th and early 21st centuries. And he was president and chancellor of the Hebrew Union College. He built out in amazing ways. He was a true scholar. He was a scholar. And every time he would open his mouth, something good was going to happen. And beyond that, David was a mensch. And I'm sharing no secrets that sometimes the greatest among us are not necessarily kind and caring human beings. David was a mensch. And I know that Tamara, is here. We remember David. I don't know if you want to say something, Tamara. He was extremely important in my life at various times with the passing of generations. He was very helpful to daughter Aviva as she moved through the HUC system. And just for me, for us, it's hard to picture a world without David. It just is. He had a long-standing heart condition, and one of his great qualities is that he never let his diet be impacted by his health. So we would sometimes go out to eat in the most miserable greasy spoons, and he would love it. And I admired him for that. I want to mention his funeral is Sunday. The college world is in mourning. There is no question about that. There is, you know what Kaddish is? Yes, obviously, everyone knows what Kaddish is. Do you know that there's a variety of it? I don't know what the plural is. Do you know that there is a variety of Kaddishes, different kinds of Kaddish?
No.
Are you aware?
No.
Is anyone here aware of any of the variant Kaddishes?
No.
Well, that was it. That's a solid no. So, for example, it's not Reform practice, but the Kaddish that's recited at burial is different from the regular mourner's Kaddish. So in a traditional cemetery, when you finished with a funeral and the community recites Kaddish, it is a variant, same bones, but a variant on Kaddish. There's another kind of Kaddish, which is called, Aviva says that the Chatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish, is a semicolon in our services. You notice right before Baruch Hu, right? There's a little Kaddish, a half Kaddish, and that has the function of being a semicolon in the flow of the service. That's its only function. Semicolon, we're now moving into the next section.
Yeah, Mickey, I'm in the middle of a class. What's happening?
Please, Doris, mute yourself. There you go. Okay. Now, another Kaddish is a Kaddish called Kaddish de Rabbanan. The Kaddish de Rabbanan has at least two functions that I'm aware of, and there are probably more. One is that Kaddish is recited when you've studied a piece of Mishnayot or something like that, and you end up reciting the Kaddish de Rabbanan. Rabbanan, the rabbis, the rabbinic Kaddish. That same Kaddish is recited at the time of a burial, the time of the death of a scholar, Kaddish de Rabbanan. And we can't recite Kaddish legally for David because his funeral is Sunday, and Kaddish is recited after the funeral. But this is what the Kaddish de Rabbanan says. V'al Yisrael, v'al Rabbanan, v'al Tamidehon, v'al kol Tamidehon. Grant peace to our people and to their leaders, to our teachers and their disciples, and to all who engage in the study of Torah in this land and in all other lands. May you and they be blessed by our Creator in heaven with great peace, grace, kindness, compassion, and love, long life, abundance, and deliverance, and let us say, Amen. Reese and I, many others, are in a non-family mourning for David. We're going to really miss him. And I think our world is impoverished by his passing.
Will the funeral be on Zoom?
Yes.
Do you have a link for it?
Somehow, Risa, if you can send it, I don't want to get involved with it now. There is a link. We're going to watch it because it's in New York. It's in New York. Okay. Good Shabbos, everybody. And it's good to see Zach's, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Diane, Cindy. Haven't seen you, since last night. Roy, Shabbat Shalom, Rebecca. Somehow, Rebecca, you've slipped. You used to be in the upper left corner, but now you're in the second row. I don't know how that happens. Susie, Shabbat Shalom. And Susie and I have an incredible relationship. Wherever Susie sits, unbeknownst to me, I sit in front of her. So the least tall of many of our friends sits directly behind a more tall individual. It happens, Susie, every week? I don't know. It just works that way. Mara and Harv, Shabbat Shalom. Sukasa, hi. Natalie, hi. Shabbat Shalom. Doris, Eric, where are you? New York City? And you're muted, but
I'm in beautiful downtown Coconut Creek, win more condos till June. God bless it, man. I'm walking around in a t-shirt and a shorts. That's why I go.
Florida is great for the Jewish people. Howard,
and I thank you. And I wanted to I want to know who to call about I'm a kinless. How to do things. I'm a kinless person, but I found relatives that'll help me because I get accident prone. So I needed some people. I don't know what programs you have in your synagogue for kinless people who don't have families anymore as they grow older.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know the answer, but that's a question I'll ask about. Howard, we sat with your family last night. That was fun. Shabbat Shalom. Barbara, hi. Max, thank you for coming back, Max. We hope that you become a regular. Tamara, Shabbat Shalom. Steve, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back after a 3-week absence. I expect you'll turn in an excuse slip. Risa, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Marina, Shabbat Shalom. Is there a caring committee? I don't know. We're beyond me. Joseph, Shabbat Shalom, and Joseph and friend. What's his name?
Joseph. We're both Joseph. Both of us are Joseph. Joseph. Joseph.
How do you know which one is being yelled at?
We just assume both of us.
Oh my God.
If someone's being yelled at, it's me.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Donna. Shabbat Shalom. Remember our conversation last night? I was serious. Brad, Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Ray. Shabbat Shalom. Boy, this is cool. Karen, Shabbat Shalom. Maya. Hi, Maya. I'm glad that you're here and you brought Mother Aviva with you. Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Aviva. Sandra Nadich. Oh, it's not just that we're growing in number, we are becoming more diversified. Now, okay, that's great. December 13th, noon, current events. And I just want to pause. Steve has his hand up, and then just check in if there's anybody, and then we're going to hit the text. Anybody? Steve?
I don't have my hand up.
Pardon?
I didn't have my hand up.
Oh, it showed. Okay. Then again,
But I was wondering if you were going to find anything to talk about Wednesday.
Well, probably not. It's too boring. Okay, I see Sukasa and Cindy. Sukasa first, and Cindy.
I had an interesting experience. I walk in my neighborhood and I walked by a house with a Israeli flag outside. And I thought, this is really strange. I don't think these people are Jewish. And the car pulls up and the woman gets out. I think she thought I was staking the house out to rob it or something. She says, can I help you? And I said, yeah. I said, you've got an Israeli flag. And she said to me, she said, I'm not Jewish. She said, but I have a lot of friends that are Jewish. And I bought this flag because I think I need to support Israel because what's going on is terrible. And I thought that was so heartwarming. I have an Israeli flag that I've been a little bit hesitant to put out, and I'm going to put my flag out because if she can do it, I can do it. And I think we should all be out there. That's our job, to support Israel.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Cindy.
Just want to remind everyone, we have Hanukkah in Santa Monica at Froman's this Wednesday. Would love Chevra Torah to show up. If you want to come, you just have to let Susie know. There's always room because it's at a restaurant. Rabbi Nanas will be leading us. And it's just a fun, easy-going dinner celebrating Shabbat. If you haven't had enough latkes, they'll be available. But Susie's in charge of the reservations and the seats. So all you have to do is let her know.
You mentioned something that I am required as the spiritual leader of this group to mention. Last night, the food at Wilshire was overabundant. They had enough food to feed the world. Okay?
675 people, they said.
They had a pile of sufganiyot, of fancy donuts with a Magen David on each donut, and they had endless latkes, a latke bar, and they just kept popping out more latkes. But, ladies and gentlemen, I learned something last night. Wilshire Boulevard, right alongside of the sufganiyot, the donuts, serve churros. And some of the people, when I expressed Midwestern amazement that a churro is at a Hanukkah celebration, and I got back, it's fried, what's your problem? Okay, so churros had now entered the lexicon of what we do on Hanukkah. I was very impressed with that. Okay, Anyone else have something to offer before we jump in? Risa?
I just want to say that the Hanukkah dinner on Wednesday is actually on the Wilshire emails, and you can register there as well.
Okay, good. Anything else? Thank you. Anything else? Good. Oh, okay, Susie?
I'm unmuting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just quickly, I have an easy email, Susie4433@AOL. It might be too complicated to register on the website, so just email me and I'll add you to the list. Susie
Susie is S-U-Z-I.
S-U-Z-Y.
Z-Y, I knew that. Okay.
S-U-Z-Y, 4433@AOL, and we'd love to see you, and it's not too late to email me. Thank you.
Very good. We are now going to chapter 40, verse 1, page 254. We're in the Joseph cycle. We're in the Joseph cycle, and it's wonderful. The stories are totally familiar, and we're familiar with this story as well. After all this, the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and the baker offended against their master, the king of Egypt. So you know the story, right? You know how Joseph ends up in Egypt, and you know how, I'm not quite sure how to do this. He had a dalliance with the wife of Potiphar, or at least she sexually harassed him or something like that. Is that a no? Tamara? Okay, please express it.
No, there was no dalliance. She tried to have a dalliance and he refused. So it's a case of sexual harassment by a woman boss of a male employee. And he has to run away, and he ends up in prison because no one believes him.
So you really think that she was working on him and he, oh, fine. Oh, yeah, but that's what it says. That's what the boss,
what it says. I don't know what happened, but that's what it says. Yes.
It says. Okay. So after that, Joseph finds himself in prison. And in prison, he is put in the presence of, well, you'll see what happens, the cupbearer of the king. Mashke, the cupbearer of the king, Va'ofeh, and the baker. So the king's wine steward person and the king's baker got into trouble, pointing out that these were not menial jobs. These were high-ranking official positions that brought great honor. And we'll see why that's important in a minute. Steve Miller.
I was just going to point out that the other witness to the event tells a very different story in the Quran. I don't remember all the differences, but the story is there with different facts. Joseph doesn't look as honorable.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much. And I would like to assert with no sense of prejudice that the Bible, the Torah, is right and everything else is wrong. And we'll just stipulate that as a non-possible statement. Okay, so baker, butler, Vaysof Paro Shnei Sarisav. What does it say here? And Pharaoh was furious at his two officers. Stop there. Officers. The Hebrew Sarisav. I'm probably going to walk into trouble here. They're eunuchs. They are castrated males. And Sarisim, I'm just not altogether sure how to make the connection. Sarisim could be read as officers. Sarisim often read as eunuchs, and it doesn't mean that they're different, because some of the top ranking officials in the Pharaoh's court were eunuchs, were castrated males. Why? Why? Rebecca?
Decrease aggressive behavior or attempts to assert authority.
Okay, that's fun. Yes. Please, Marina.
So they could be serving the wives of the king and not
Totally.
interact with them.
Totally. Both the baker and the wine steward, whatever, also had to serve in the women's quarters. Castrating them did make them safer for that job. Steve?
I was just going to point out what Marina pointed out, especially in cultures with harems, they would want eunuchs guarding them, and the king or ruler would have no fear of interference.
Okay, so there we are. So we have the two officers in prison. They're high-ranking people, and we don't know if they're officers or if they're eunuchs. I just don't know. Tamara, what do we have here? Oh, we got a lot of chat. The Torah says, first at Potiphar's wife tried to assault, but when he refused, she told the servants and her husband that he attacked her. Yeah. So Marina says, translation says courtiers. Tamara, is there a preferred translation, or do we just go with what we have?
It's an unsolved problem. We can't, sometimes it's clearly an officer and sometimes it's clearly eunuch, and most of the time it's not clear. And one theory about why they might be eunuchs is so they don't have families of their own and have double loyalties. So that's in addition to everything that was said. But it doesn't seem to be a consistent use.
Okay, that's okay. I'm proud that I'm confused. Okay, so Vayiksof Paro, and Pharaoh was very angry at the two Sarisim, whatever they were, the butler and the baker. Vayitenohem b'mishbar beit sar hatabachim. And here, I'm sorry to bother you, Tamara, but this one is hard for me. He placed them under guard in the house of the captain of the guard. I cannot, to my happiness, translate tabachim. I can't. So when they say captain of the guard, I respond, how the heck did you get to that? I don't know. Is there anything?
Well, tabachim is really, it's a military butchery term. It's a bloody term, but I think it means the head of the army, not simply guard. It's the head of
the army.
Go out and do the killings.
The head of the army. Okay.
Or the armed guard, or the, I don't know. I share your discomfort.
Well, and it's kind of funny, folks, you see where we are. We've had the Torah with us, well, in the finished form, at least since 2,600 years ago. And there's still words, the translation of which we are not certain. And okay, it doesn't make a world of difference, but it's just interesting. Captain of the guards. So he put them in prison, and I would have to say, from the sound of it, a serious prison for serious prisoners. And El Beit Asor Makomash, They put him in the same prison where Joseph was. So Joseph was, because he is accused from a royal significant person's household, is put in a fancy or an important prison. And these guys obviously belong there too. Fine. Vayifkod Sarhabat Tabachim et Yosef Itam. And there's another term that I find a little confusing. The head military guy who's running this prison, whatever it means, appointed Joseph to be with them, itam, to be with them, vayisharet otam, and he served them. So one prisoner of a certain sort, accused rapist, is serving two people against whom Pharaoh is very angry. It's a nice setup in the prison. You can have your own personal assistant. That sounds good. And here again is an unclear statement. Vayiyu yamim b'mishmar. And they were biyamim, for days, under guard. Thank God the Rashi and others clarified this. Yamim is a year. They were in jail for a year. That's more of an assertion that is something that is proven. But they were there for a year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's pause for a moment. I'm turning to you for therapeutic help, and there's very few of you here who would deny that I could use some. Now, every September, I have a dream. Every September, I am wandering in a school building of which I am not familiar. I have to appear at a class, and I have my schedule, and I can't find the room. And I am moving through the building, and I am incredibly anxious. That is a real dream. Do you have any, what do you folks think of the power of dreams to talk to us? What do you think about dreams? Is it meaningful? Orisa, okay. You want to tell, you dream of me. Oh my God. That's it.
No, what you're having, anyone who's been a teacher for any length of time has September dreams, and sometimes I have them in the middle of the year too, of not being ready for class, forgetting what you're teaching, not knowing how to teach, not knowing how to respond to students. These are the tensions that stay with a lot of teachers for their lives. So you and I should wake each other up and share our teacher dreams. You're all right. You don't need any psychological help.
That's not what you said yesterday. Okay. Susie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I am so glad to hear the two of you have those dreams, because I've always been embarrassed to talk about my recurring dream regarding teaching, and it happens often, is that I walk into class and I have no control over the class, that they're all over the place. They're flying out the windows. I have no control. Don't listen to me, blah, blah, blah. So it's nice to know that other teachers have that. Thank you.
That's great. Harriet. Yes. Now, Natalie, please, Natalie.
Okay. I think a very common element in all fearful dreams is that you're getting lost.
One of mine was always when I grew up in New York, I was on the subway station and I don't know where I'm getting off and I don't know how to get home. And the funniest thing about all of that is when we moved to Los Angeles, after being here for a while, I was getting lost on the freeway instead. But it's the same thing.
Adjusted.
You cannot find where you're going. You cannot handle your life. And that's the same element in all dreams that are, I think, anyhow. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take another dream or two, and that's it. Eric?
Okay, I had after I took during my term as caregiver to my parents, I had a dream that I was disabled too, and incapacitated, and who will take me out of my bed, and who will take me to the doctor, and who would handle my finances.
You're getting deeper than getting lost on the freeway. Yes, good. Okay. One other dream is another.
Where am I?
Yeah. Oh, what is that?
10,000 Dreams Explained.
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd that come from?
Where'd you get that book? Where'd you get it?
At the bookstore. So when you're lost, the search for a lost object or the lost chord epitomizes the search for enlightenment. In spiritual terms, we do not know what we are looking for until we have found it.
Okay. Anyone else? One last chance for a dream share. Sigmund Freud, 1900, right? I mean, that the significance of dreams is talked about scientifically. The good news is that Freud he broke incredible ground. He changed the nature of much psychoanalysis. And then he was attacked, especially on dream theory, as being totally wrong. And then having been attacked as totally wrong, later, in more recent years, literally, he's back in favor. So whatever. The dreams, Joseph dreams. And it almost gets him killed. He dreams. The butler, the baker will look at their dreams. I could say only as a minimum, without being a dream analyst, that we work out a lot of problems in our dreams. We release energy in our dreams that are making us anxious. And it opens a little door. The energy pours out. We shut the door. We can be relaxed again until the pressure builds and we have another dream. Risa and I, among our millions of differences, Risa remembers dreams. I don't. And very often when we get up and we say, well, I had this dream about this, I had this, fine. And what did you have a dream? I said, I was sleeping. and I know that if they used electronic monitoring, it would show that I was dreaming, right? But I have no memory that I'm dreaming. So either those dreams are such that I want to block them from my conscious mind, or I'm just a bad dream reporter. But there they are. Any comment? We're going to move forward. There they are in prison, and it's all about dreams. Vayachalmu chalom shnehem. And this is a question. the English reveals the question. They dreamt a dream. What does that mean to you? They dreamt a dream. What does that mean? Either they shared the same dream, or Cindy, you have a hand up. I'm sorry.
Well, that they had the same dream.
Yeah.
That's what it says to me.
That they had the same dream, that somehow their dreams were connected like that, or, and the rabbis debated, they dreamt at the same time. And maybe it only means that. Anyway, it's a question. And again, the simplest of stories filled with questions. So they had a dream, the two of them. Ish chalamo balayla. Each one had a night dream. Echad ish kafitron chalamo. And what does it say in English? Each dream with its own meaning. Well, what do you think about the carnival people, the other people who interpret dreams or who write books, 10,000 Dreams Explained? What do you think about that? Do you think that your dreams address you and that you have? Tamara is saying yes, that dreams address. What does that mean to you?
It means there are well, I guess Freud. It means there are messages from somewhere in one's psyche that are being brought up when our guards are down, and they just show up. We may or may not know what they mean, but they certainly have to do with us. Yeah.
Has anyone here, and I can't figure myself in this, ever been troubled or perplexed by a dream that we didn't understand?
Yeah.
That happened? Yeah, it does. Okay. It's kind of a weird thing, Steve.
Actually, in addition to some of these, dreams of anxiety, Mona says there are a lot of dreams that are day residue. And there'll be something troubling in a movie, or you haven't figured something out, and then it expresses itself in a dream. And I also think there are dreams that, we've all had dreams where we dreamt something will happen, and it does. I'm not saying they're truly predictive, but I think there are times with anticipation or other things when you dream about something you want to happen, and sometimes it actually does.
Yeah. And the question of, is it predictive, is the biggest question of all. That it works out anxiety, fine. That that there are creative literary people, some of whom keep pads of paper next to their beds, and ideas will somehow express themselves in the middle of the night while they're sleeping. They wake up from that and immediately write it down, because if they didn't, here's another weird thing about dreams, they wouldn't remember it in the morning. It's gone, but it is there. And there's some authors talk about getting inspiration that way. Reese?
Stanley actually calls me a witch because I frequently dream things that eventually happen. And the hardest part is I have to, when I wake up in the morning, tell him that I dreamt about a particular person who I haven't seen or spoken to, or just somebody from my past jumps into my dream. And then we wait, because unfortunately, very often that person dies in the near future. And that drives him crazy.
Actually, that's not why I call you a witch. But no, that's no.
Uh-oh. You're in trouble.
I know there are other things that I do that are witchy. I know that.
There was a moment we were driving for the first time to Fort Belvoir, where I was going to take up military service as an Army chaplain. And we were somewhere near Baltimore. And Risa turns to me and says, you know, I've always wondered, who pays for these highways? Okay, I will never forget that moment. We're on a major highway, whatever, turn the corner, and there's a big sign over the highway. This highway paid for by whatever, whatever. And I've been afraid of Risa ever since. We were never on that road. I don't see signs like that on other roads. And there it was. Steve.
I'm sorry, I just didn't lower my hand from before.
Okay. So do dreams have predictive value? Hard to know. Hard to know. And so each one dreamt according to the interpretation of his dream, fine, who were imprisoned there. And Joseph came to them in the morning and saw them, and behold, they were Zoaphim. Zoaphim, they were sad, they were dismal, they were unhappy. Okay? It was like I get up in the morning and I can't get my Starbucks. It's depressing. They were projecting sorrow. Okay? He asked them, Madua Penechem Ra'im Hayom. And that's kind of a funny thing. Ra'im means bad or wicked, but you know what the text means. Why do you guys look so down? What's happening? Now, the commentators pick up on this. They use this statement as proof that though Joseph was an accused rapist thrown in prison and not really an Egyptian anyway, he somehow had chutzpah and status. And he said to the chief butler and the chief baker, gentlemen, what's bothering you? What's going on? And that would not be a normal thing for a servant to ask the masters. Now, verse 8, look what happens here. So they said to him, we each dreamt a dream, but there is no one to interpret it. Stop. Full stop. What do we learn from that sentence? What do we learn? That's a sentence I have skipped over 1,000 times until I didn't. What is that sentence telling us? Howard.
I think it might be implying some spiritual emptiness in Egypt.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Try again.
It might be implying some spiritual emptiness in Egypt.
Okay. We dreamt a dream, there is no one to interpret it. Could mean literally nobody in Egypt has the skill. Okay, it could mean that. What else might it mean? What else could it be saying? What else could it be saying? Susie.
I think that it's saying that they recognize that dreams are very significant, but I don't think the sophistication of psychology has come about. I mean, in today's day and age, there are shrinks, psychologists that totally work only on dreams. I'm very impressed that at this time in the Torah, it's even brought up that our dreams are important. Like that dream I have all the time of losing control of my class, that's important to me. To me, it says sometimes I feel like I've lost control of my life. And there's really, dreams are really important. And this is a very important passage to me, that psychology is entering our forefathers' brains.
And I'm going to say something else too, and then Sukasa will be next. That it has always been the case in a very confused and threatening world that people are trying to find hints, indications, signs pointing to a truth. We all tea leaves, right?
Right. Tea leaves.
I don't quite know how that works, but somehow
Psychics.
You read tea leaves and it tells you something. But not only that, what else do people read in looking for truth?
Ouija boards.
I'm sorry?
Ouija boards.
I didn't hear that. Oh, no.
Ouija boards.
And the palms of your hands. There are palm readers.
Tarot cards.
They're palm readers. There are I can do this without my hand. There are cloud readers that read the way the clouds appear. They're all kind. Why? Because we are fundamentally afraid, insecure, and in search of something that will point the way to a more certain tomorrow. That is part of the human condition. Ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, that's one of the reasons why religious charlatans do so well, because people are looking. They want, oh, you have an answer for me. Whoa, I need answers. Sukasa. I'm sorry. No, forget it.
I wasn't going to say anything. Sorry. I just was seconding what Susie said. I thought it was very well thought out.
Okay, that's good. Okay, Risa's gone. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. So the rabbis say, when looking at this, the butler and the baker were so upset that when they got up early in the morning, they went running to the normal dream interpreters in Egypt, and they failed them. So if you look at the language, we dreamt a dream, but there is no one to interpret it. We can take Howard's point of view that Egypt just didn't have dream interpreters, or that the butler and the baker, very upset by what they had dreamt, tried to pull their connections in the royal court to get dream interpreters. It didn't work. So they were very unhappy, very unhappy. We're going to go forward. We dreamt the dream. Joseph then said to them, one of the most famous statements in the Torah, Halol Elohim Pitronim. I, for one, don't know how Joseph became religious. I don't know. I raised questions Thursday night. Why doesn't the Torah tell us what Joseph was thinking when they threw him in a pit? We have no indication of that. Or when Joseph was sold, off he goes as a slave. We have no insight into what was going on. So if someone wants to write a follow-up to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream Code, please, in that thing, tell me what Joseph was thinking. Tell me what Joseph was feeling. In the meanwhile, how did he get to be religious? Pitronim l'Elohim? Interpretations belong to God. And later on, when after Joseph reveals himself, you intended it for bad, but God intended it for good. When did Joseph become a fully believing Orthodox Jew? When did that happen? How
No.
did it happen? Any thoughts? Okay, I see you, Steve.
It seems to me that having been in the pit where he was very likely to die, lots of people who survive experiences where they narrowly escape death find religion. And it seems to me he felt somebody's looking out for me. I should be dead.
That is definitely true that at certain circumstances people find religion, and maybe that. I just don't know. Tamara, are you aware of any rabbinic commentaries that I know that Isaac, after he was almost sacrificed with the Akedah, according to the rabbis, he didn't go back to Sarah. He went to a yeshiva to study. Yeshivat Shem Be'aver, the yeshiva of Shem, the Semite, the son of Noah. I mean, that is so not real. How did Joseph become religious? How did that happen? Tamara, do you know of anything that reflects in the tradition? I don't.
But I'm not sure you have to be, quote, religious in the ancient world to attribute things to God. I think the sense of God in the world was something rather pervasive for people. It was part of everyday life, that anything mysterious that you don't know must have something to do with God. So I'm not sure I would call this specifically religious.
Thank you. That's interesting. So that sometimes God is a default entity that when you, even if you're not a believer and never go to shul and whatever, if something pops.
I'm not sure that people would call themselves non-believer. It was, we use science to explain things, they used God to explain things. It's not as if he's speaking specifically about Israel's God, right? He's using a generic term. So I just think it's part of the worldview. If they talk about politics, they're going to mention God. It's just a normal accepted fact that there are divine forces that are there that we have to deal with. The issue was what kind of a God you're dealing with. That would fall into religion. What do you expect from your God would define you like or unlike another group. But
thank you. Aviva.
Yeah, so I had kind of a similar response as Tamara, because there's nothing about this that says religion. This is not about a practice. This is not about a belief system, but it is very much the vocabulary of the home in which he was raised. If you heard me say holy cow, that would have nothing to do with my personal beliefs or relationship with cows. It's a vocabulary that I heard and wove into my own speech pattern from where I was raised. At this point, there is no defined Jewish community, right? All we have is the children of this one patriarch and what they pass down to one another. So to me, this is just, he's got dad's mouth.
Or otherwise, holy cow means you're Hindu. And that you know may not.
But that's my point, because specifically, you know that I'm not. But
no, and I'm gratified by that. Okay. We're running.
Nothing wrong with Hindus.
Right. Right. I'm in trouble again. It took the entire hour for me to fall into Joseph's pit. Okay. Okay, Ray, you get the last word, and then we'll have.
Well, thank you. I do see Risa in front of me, so I'm happy to cede the word to Risa.
No, she's not there now. I have no idea.
Okay. I am actually not at all sure that we should consider it a religious statement when Joseph says, surely interpretations are in God's domain, to go ahead and tell them, because I'm also struck a few verses down in line 12. Joseph then said to him, this is its meaning. He says that rather unequivocally, the three branches, etc., with great specificity. So
that way, Ze Pitrono, this is it.
Yeah, and that does not, to me, sound like the speech of somebody who necessarily is really ceding the ultimate authority to God. It strikes me that this could be a reflection of Joseph's practiced political behavior, and that his saying, surely interpretations belong to God, could be his imperious way of disavowing himself of responsibility for what he says, but then only a few verses later, he acts like an authority. So I'm not sure I take it at face value as being a conviction about God at all.
Okay, I guess you and Aviva and others agree that it's that there are reasons, and it doesn't mean, the way I tried to open it up, that Joseph in any way was necessarily religious. He was either using the language of the day or the conventions of the day, and we can leave it with that. I have so many hands up. If I can do this, please, 1 minute or less, and I'll cut you off if you don't. Steve, Susie?
I think the more interesting question, because Joseph had been in Egypt, I think, and you might not call it religion, but I think he has a sense of some different type of God than the God of the community. He's not thinking of Pharaoh and Ra. And so I think there is some sense of a God that he believes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Susie?
For me, it's very simple. It's in God's hands. That expression that a lot of us use and believe in. I truly believe that. It's some things we don't have the answers to, and it's in God's hands. That's it.
No, that's such a powerful statement. It's in God's hands.
Yes, but if you believe it, the power is there. And you forgive the unacceptable to you, or you embrace the acceptable that's happened. It's in God's hands.
Thank you. We are unfortunately done. Tomorrow, with all due respect, you're supposed to leave. You said you had to go before Kaddish. Okay, I don't want to be in charge of your daily calendar, but okay. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Great. We're going to move now. I don't usually kick people off the class. Okay. That was pretty scary. Okay, we're going to join together in Kaddish now. Those who have passed away during the past month. And you'll notice that I do have Rabbi David Allenson's name on the list, even though the funeral is Sunday. It's just because we won't be together. Richard Warren Bank, Marilyn Baum, William Byrne-Krant, Nan Brostoff, Lisa Cohn, Harold Cohn Jr., Rabbi David Ellenson, Kat Elterman, J. Kenneth Gordon, Renee Dunya Hawley, Anna Hemd, Clive Hoffman, Rachel Ray Hoffman, Stephen Loeb, Donald Motley, Stephen Reed, Adrian Sobel, Harvey Weiner. Yortzeits that have occurred during the past week: Lawrence Edelman, William Edelman, Tala Arnovitz, Martin August, Anna Barbanel, Ruth Becker, Aaron Bender, Jacob Berefine, Ralph Binder, Dennis Allen Blake, Gail Brewer, Mary Brown, Ray Bubar, Alexandra Reza Buch, Eugene Klaus, Jeanette Richards Kaufman, Sheldon Cohn, Michael Coleman, Muriel Corwin, Priscilla Crombie, Etta Copeland Daniels, Harry Davis, John Dolgener, Samuel Doro, Helen Dresser, Sarah Drach, Marge Farber, Evelyn Fern, Elena Ferrari, Robert Flink, Harriet Freund, Linda Friedman, Ulrich First, Leonard Goldberg, Mary Goldberg, Herbert Goldmark, Florence Goldstein, Sandy Gordon, Sue Gottfried, Howard Gottfried, Nathan Greenberg, Philip Grosser, Sherry Herzog, Benjamin Holland, Harry Theodore Holmberg, Gertrude Hutchinson, George Jacobs, Max Jaffe, Lottie Kahn, Newton King, Herman Klein, Sarah Klug, Dorothy Koenig, Alex Comper, Lester Korn, Elsie Cosman, Wendy Kramer, Kelly Krevin, Gladys Leibner, Mark Levine, Jack Lewis, Lillian Lynch, Erna Lovis, Tilly Lebelsky, Jules Lustig, William McDuckson, Maurice McGilnick, Melvin Malat, Anna Mallon, Herman Markowitz, Sylvia Miller, David Millett, Joe Mitchell, William Muttle, Kurt Randall Myers, Frank Nadich, Melissa Moranz Neely, Dorothy Nuger, Reyes Olguin, Carol Jean Osterwell, George Pinnes Jr., Molly Pollip, Harry Prince, Harriet Reed, Sophia Reichwald, Joan Rex, Stephanie Rosenblum, Elizabeth Rubenstein, Burton Sanders, Samya Sapoznikov, Betty Skadron, Werner Schott, Martin Schwartz, Morton Seidel, Benjamin Shapiro, David Stewart Schur, Robert Slangerup, Dorothy Slifkin, Evelyn Smasson, Janet Smith, Seymour Smith, Rose Snyder, Martin Sternberg, Penelope Summers, Rose Taylor, Benito Valner, Faye Vegan, Sidney Wax, Marshall Wagman, Martin Webster, Anna Weinstein, Samuel Witt, Cindy Wool, Merle Young, Rose Sachs. I apologize to those whose family names I mispronounced. If I have omitted a name or you wish to add a name, please speak that name aloud now or in your hearts. We bear in mind the names of all those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the state of Israel, those who died through senseless acts of terror and nightmare.
Rabbi?
You froze.
I froze. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I absolutely froze. I am sorry for that. I froze. That's what I did. Evelyn Smasson, Janet Smith, Seymour Smith, Snyder, Martin Sternberg. I did the names. I asked for others. Let's join in Kaddish together. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash,
V'alma divara kirute, v'yamlit v'chaye ton of yomechon,
v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala,
ubizman karid, amen.
Yeshmei Rabba
Barak, Elam Omeomaya,
Barak v'yishtabach,
Barak v'yipoar v'yitromam, v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh, v'yitalal shebei dekudashah, richu, v'elam
Rishata v'shirata, Rushata v'nekamata, Dami v'yalma v'yikru, amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shlama Rab
Rabba min Shemaya,
Nimalei
All Yisrael v'imru,
Amen. Who says Shalom.
Shalom b'Ramav,
Booyah says
Shalom, Aleinu
Amen.
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 May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts. Make peace in our homes. Bring peace to the Middle East.
Yes.
Peace to families and nations.
Amen.
And
Leaving.
bring us to a world which is filled with light. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everybody.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Stanley. Very nice.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Shabbat shalom.